All right, everybody, welcome to this week's Corn Belt Umpires Association Zoom Lunch Clinic. My name is Jake Samp. I'm joined with Jason Vaith and Connor Singheisen. And today we're talking about the finer points of the infield fly rule. Thanks for sticking with us. We've been away for a couple weeks, been busy with postseason stuff, and I'm in the middle of studying for the bar exam. So time is at a premium right now. As always, if you have questions, please do not hesitate to ask them. We are here to answer questions for you. Feel free to either drop them in the chat. Otherwise, you are certainly able to unmute and ask them as you have them. Today's discussion topic, whatever you want to call it, will include some more interactive opportunities where we can discuss a couple plays because there's some parts of the infield fly rule which have some judgment to them. So with that, let's talk about the infield fly rule as it applies to the National Federation of High School Rules. I am not going to read this entire text. The basics of it are you either need to have a runner on first and second or the base is loaded. You need to have a fair fly ball that is not a line drive or an attempted bunt that is able to be caught by an infielder with ordinary effort or an outfielder in the infield with ordinary effort. And there are less than 2 outs. If the pop fly is on one of the baselines, we would say infield fly if fair, because obviously if it falls foul, it would be a foul ball. Going to OBR, a lot of it's the same. The biggest difference is the outfielder in OBR has to be stationed in the infield to be protected by the infield fly. As you notice here, you will not see a discussion where we talk about the pop fly being in the infield. That is always a major contested issue with some coaches who feel that just because a ball was in the outfield, the infield fly rule should not apply. That is not the case. And again, like with high school, an infield fly is not a line drive, nor is it an attempted bunt. And we see this language of ordinary effort, and what you're going to come to find the longer you umpire is the term ordinary effort is quite murky, but they have defined it. And I believe I have the definition on the next slide. Nope, we got a comment here. Ordinary handled. Yeah, okay, cool. So that is actually I think this is part of the comment and glossary definition. So ordinary effort, or I guess, hang on, let's back up here. We don't need to care about if the ball was caught in the infield grass, on the dirt, in the outfielder. The judgment is simply, could the ball have been easily handled by an infielder? And it's not an appeal play, so we can't get together. And it says the umpire's judgment must govern and the decision should be made immediately. Connor and Jason step in here if you have something else, but typically when I'm in a pregame and we're talking about infield fly, the number one thing that I'm going to factor into infield fly is number one, the level of play, because that obviously factors into ordinary effort. But then also weather conditions. Obviously, when we're working spring ball, I mean, I had I lost count of how many games I had where we had wind advisories in place. We were a lot more intentional and slow in calling infield fly. But typically we want to call it when the ball is what they say is at its apex. So the highest point um, in the arc of the ball traveling. Connor,
Yeah.
Jason,
So
anything else?
sorry, just go back to my office.
Oh, you're
Um,
good, buddy.
so I think that the Jake's somewhat in line with my thinking. My primary focus here is the purpose of the rule, applying the purpose of the rule, right? What the purpose of the rule is to prevent a cheap double play. So regardless of level of play, level of competency of players, height of the ball, remember, like it says, cannot be a line drive, right? A line drive is sharp and direct. Anything that's not sharp and direct is not a line drive and can be an infield fly. Um, so keep in mind when judging an infield fly, what what's the purpose of the rule? The purpose of the rule is protect the runner. So I'm going to err more on the side of infield fly than not because I want to protect the runner. Level of play that you work might dictate how much the coach appreciates that, right? Because you have some coaches, well, the ball hit the ground and now I don't have this and now my kid can't score. Like, yeah, it um you're right, but you also don't have a triple play, which is the purpose of this rule. So I personally am always going to err on the side of yes, that's an infield fly because the goal is to protect the runners. It's the purpose of the rule. I would to speak to Jeff, your comment. I wouldn't necessarily bring it up at the plate meeting. Um, I feel like the more we talk at the plate meeting, the more we pigeonhole ourselves into a certain ruling, and when that does not occur, we are giving coaches ammunition to launch at us. Um, so personally, I don't talk about anything unless they have a question on something when it comes to rules. Um, because then when you do call an infield fly or you don't call an infield fly, and they think that, well, you told me at the plate meeting this because they didn't pay attention, they can say, hey, you told me this and then you didn't do it. So that's my personal perspective on that.
I'd agree with that. The plate meeting's not a place for a rules clinic. That's what these videos are for. Um, so yeah, it's a bad habit that can really come back to bite you later on. All right. Jason, you got anything to add?
No, you guys hit the nail right on the head. I'm kind of a believer personally in my stance at the plate meeting. Less is more because the more you say, like you said, the more ammo you're giving coaches later on in the game. So my plate meetings are very short and to the point, and we got to talk about, and we move on.
Absolutely. So when we have an infield fly, the batter runner is out. And the reason for that, as Connor was kind of alluding to, we're protecting the offense from a cheap triple play. By invoking the infield fly rule, we call the batter runner out, which eliminates the force. Uh, and so uh, that's important. As soon as the infield fly is called, the batter runner's out. If the ball is dropped or for some reason the runners take off, they can advance at their own risk. Um, Obviously, if the ball's caught, they have to tag up. But I can't say I've seen someone tag on an infield fly before. But there's still time. So let's recap. we'll keep it mechanical. We either need a runner on first and second, or bases loaded with less than 2 outs. A fair fly ball that is able to be caught with ordinary effort by an infielder or an outfielder stationed in the infield. And if it's near the foul line, it's going to be if fair. They are not line drives, are not bunts. I think, Connor, you said it was sharp and direct. Is that what you said for a line drive?
Yeah.
So a sharply hit ball directly at a fielder, that is a line drive.
Texas Leaguer, a flyer. Anything that has air is a fly ball that is not sharp and direct. It's a very broad category. Don't talk yourself into, oh, well, that was kind of sharp and direct, so it can't be an infield fly. Go the other route with it because the purpose is to get an out and protect runners.
All right, let's talk ordinary effort. The NFHS rulebook does not define what ordinary effort is, so we're going to borrow the definition from the official baseball rules. I'm not going to read this for you guys, word for word, but average skill of an average player at that level. And it also says with due consideration given to the conditions of the playing field and weather. And then you can ignore the last sentence because in the official baseball rules glossary, they also use this definition of ordinary effort to apply to errors, wild pitches, sacrifices, and pass balls. So that's separate and not related. And before we get into some of the videos here, because I'm going to, just so I can get out of this PowerPoint, we're going to go to the next slide, and we're going to talk about how we call an infield fly and who is responsible for it. So,
Jake, before you even go there, maybe you should talk about your pre-pitch signal with your partners about what your infield fly indicator is.
Yeah. Talk about it during your pregame. Some guys will tap their hat like this. Some guys go like this, one finger, two. It doesn't matter what you use to signal pre-pitch that the infield fly is potentially in effect. What matters is that you pre-pitch signal it.
I would disagree with that, Jake, because we need to know the duration of umpiring the play, right? If we have no outs, show no outs to remind everybody how many outs you have. You have 1 out, show 1 out to remind how many outs you have, right? Because if I'm lost in my own little world and I think we have 1 out and we have 0 outs and I stop umpiring the play and they turn a triple play, we can't correct that. I am very much a stickler on this because this is a scenario where we can get into a lot of what ifs and a lot of weird scenarios because the play on the field doesn't match the expectation of the umpiring, right? We all know what should be done by baseball sense, but players don't always do what makes sense from a baseball perspective. So if we show, I'm always 1 hand, 2 hands, doesn't matter, no outs, where I'm going, right? And the more I communicate, the more we're on the same page, the better off our crew is going to be. If I have 1 out, now we have a potential time play at the plate if we have something weird, right? We have runners advance. We have potential time play. If we have bases loaded, we have potential time play. But if we have 0 outs or 1 out, I will show, right? Point, hey, infield fly, and then tag and where I'm going. But I think it's very important that we signal how many outs to make sure we're engaged and we know the possibilities of what plays could happen on any given play.
That's a good point. Thanks for catching me on that. Lastly here, we'll talk about coverage responsibility. In the 2-umpire system, both umpires have equal ability to call infield fly. We have gone to 3 and 4 umpire systems for playoffs and state tournaments. In those cases, it is typically the umpire who has the fly ball responsibility coverage would have the infield fly call. and I got a video to talk about that.
Can I expand on that a little bit?
Yes, please do.
So in two umpires, always have to be watching in umpiring, we always have to be watching the baseball. Everybody needs an opinion on this. It might be a primary responsibility of one or the other. But how many times have you seen a little flare and you're like, ooh, that could be an infield fly, and then you don't do anything? Or it catches you off guard and you're like, wow, I didn't think the ball was going to do that. Or as a plate umpire, the ball's hit and you don't have any idea where it went because it went in the air. And where it should have gone, it didn't go. So I think we all need an opinion on this. And while it's a primary responsibility, we all have the responsibility of getting this play right, and anybody can go get that. If it is coming from an atypical area, and this is more on a 3 or 4 person crew, the less typical it is that umpire would call it, the louder that umpire needs to be to communicate that to everybody. But, and Jake, you have the play from the College World Series.
No, I have the Mount Marty play. I have an infield fly that I had at Southwest in the 3 umpire system where I was a plate guy and I called it, but I don't have that one you're thinking of.
So there was a play in the College World Series last year, 2 years ago, where it's kind of a flare over the mound. But then there was also another one where it's a little bit deeper, and the shortstop or second baseman ends up settling underneath it, but it's just a little flare. And the only guy that calls it is the third base umpire, who probably has no business looking there, right? He should be lining up a tag, but everybody else is kind of like, is it not? I don't know. Sometimes the wider angle, the better perspective you have, the more understanding you have of the play. So everybody should be ready to call this or make this call. So don't think, oh, it's their primary. They're the only one that can rule on it. Because if you come in with an infield fly on an infield fly situation that meets the definition of the rule and protects the runner, you're going to look like $1 million because you're the one that says, okay, I see everything. I understand how to apply the rule, not just the letter of the rule. I think that makes a huge difference in your umpiring ability. But as you continue to work with 2 and 3 and 4 umpire systems, you have a variety of experience in who's in what system and what they're looking at. And you may have, it may be the second base umpire, and they're like, I've never worked second base before. This is my first game. I don't know what I'm doing. And they're so focused about where to stand and what their responsibilities are that they don't even read the play because they're like, oh, I have catch, no catch. And it never enters the thought in their mind of this is a potential infield fly.
All right. So the video I have here, obviously, it's a 3-man crew. And we're gonna have a pop-up hit to basically right behind second base. So U3 has catch no catch on this situation, and I'll play it through first, and I'll kind of talk through what I had going here. I was on the plate for this. So I'll just restart it here now. So we have a pop-up and the sun is directly at my back. And so immediately you can see both U1 and U3 are, we're finding that baseball. I then see my U3 put his left hand up, and he's trying to find the baseball. At that point in time, he had no idea where that baseball was at. I obviously not having to fight the sun, I knew right where that baseball was at. And as soon as I figured out he could not find the baseball, I called infield fly quite loud, and then he mirrored it. And so obviously in 2 umpire system, this is anybody's infield fly call. And we talked in the locker room after the game that I knew it was an infield fly, and as soon as I saw my partner's left hand go up trying to find it, I knew that he did not know where the baseball was at, and so then I just grabbed it. and took it. So it's also a situation of reading your partners. As soon as it was obvious that he didn't have the baseball, we called it. That was something that we talked about after the game. Like I said, this would be applicable in the 3 and 4 umpire system. In the 2 umpire system, we're gonna go get this right away because either my base umpire or the plate umpire can go get that. All right.
The one thing I would say on that is if you don't know where the baseball is at, don't put your arm in the air.
Yeah.
Because you can confuse a lot of people by putting your arm in the air.
That's a good point. All right. Let's do this one. This is a dropped triple. This is a dropped baseball. We got runner on first and second, no outs. I put this PowerPoint together a while ago, so I had to remember why I put this one in here. So yeah, pop up. Oh yeah. We'll have a discussion. We'll have a good discussion on ordinary effort. All right. So we have a pop up to the shortstop that, for all intents and purposes, looks routine. He's waving off the right fielder, then all of a sudden he goes, "Oh crap!" Obviously, this is a major league game. This isn't a college game. This isn't a Legion game. Connor, what are you thinking here? Are you in a Legion game? Are you going to go infield fly on this play under ordinary effort?
If the shortstop is acting how he is, right, he's settled underneath it. Settled doesn't mean feet standing still, right? He's underneath it. He didn't have to run. He didn't sprint. He slowed down. There's no reason this can't be an infield fly. Now, if that's the behavior the shortstop is exhibiting, absolutely I'm going infield fly on this. Why? Protect the runners. He's settled, right? He's moving, he's adjusting, but he's settled. Settled doesn't mean standing still, camped underneath it. He's holding him off. He's saying, "Hey, I got this. This is an easy catch." I'm reading this as a runner, like this is going to be a caught fly ball. And I am going to I'm going to go infield fly because I think that's ordinary effort. There's nothing wrong with that. Like that. I'm not even going to say at this level. At any level, if a fielder does that, he's jogging, right? He's not sprinting. The more rapidly he moves, the more settled I think he needs to be in order to be considered settled or ordinary effort, right? So if he takes off sprinting, he probably needs to be completely stationary in order for it to be ordinary effort. If he's just kind of, taking a nice, easy route like this guy is, I mean, he's jogging, but he's not sprinting. Then he gets there. He's making an adjustment. He's not catching it on the move. He's not presenting like he's catching it on the move. So I think this is ordinary effort. Does anybody disagree with that? Feel free to speak up if you do. I'm trying to make sure I cover all the bases on these plays and explain it to where everybody gets kind of an understanding of what my thoughts are on it.
And feel free to unmute too. Sometimes this is easier to explain this way versus putting it in the chat. Hearing nothing, I'm going to go to the last play that we have here. This was an interesting play that got sent to me. So we have runners on, I believe, first and second here. We're in the 2 umpire system. We got a little pop up here. And we have infield fly called. Runners advance. Ball was not caught, so they don't have to re-tag. Oh shoot. Whoops. All right. Sorry about that. So I'm gonna play this video probably 2 more times, and then I definitely like to open it up and just see what other people think about this play. We had infield fly called, but I'm definitely curious to hear what some of your opinions are here. Do we think this is an infield fly situate, like a type play where we're going to call the infield fly? Not everybody at once.
The video is kind of choppy, but that doesn't look ordinary to me.
And try to play one more time here. Hopefully it cleans it up a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm just basing off kind of what Connor said on the last video. He doesn't seem to be settled under it either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's diving, so I would say diving is not sliding to catch it is not ordinary effort mostly.
All right, so we got 2 people here that think this is not caught with ordinary effort. Anybody else got some thoughts on this? I think I got a third. Okay, we got 3 for not ordinary effort. Con, you want to break this one down?
Yeah. So if you look at, I don't know, is Jake on here?
No, he's not.
No. Okay.
I wish he
So
was.
we talked about this a little bit, and we got the call wrong, but I'm not. I'm not. I'm not opposed to it. Like, there are much bigger mistakes we can make in a game of baseball as an umpire than this. Does it hurt the offense? Yeah, it does. Right. They'd have bases loaded on this if we don't call it. I think the reason we get this wrong is because we react to the flight of the baseball. We see it's a pop up and we look at the baseball and we never look at the fielders. Like our arms up before we even know. And it's not great camera work, so you can't see exactly what I'm trying to say. Like exactly what I'm trying to say, because it switches from the outfield angle to the home plate angle. But if you pause it right here, okay, we're up and our head comes down, and go a little bit further. Okay, we're calling it before the ball starts to come down. We should be reading our third baseman and anticipating the trajectory of the ball and where that's going to land, and then calling it. We can always call late. We can always call late. We can't call it before it reaches its apex. We have to call it after. It's clearly not ordinary effort because we're sliding to make a play. Defense is happy because they got an out of it. Offense is not happy because the bases are loaded. But they also are not in a triple play or double play situation. So I don't know. It's the wrong call. It is. if we wait and we are patient, we allow that fielder to get there, we can always call it late, because what should the runners be doing anyways on this ball? They should be tagging. That's what baseball tells you. Tag on this. So they should be towards their base, and we call it and we're good, right? And we can always decide, yeah, you know what, that was close enough to ordinary effort. We're going to protect the runners. But I think we need to wait a lot longer on this before we make a decision.
I'd agree with that, Connor. And I think the big lesson there is we don't necessarily, I mean, we don't have to call it at the apex. I know that's, the book does say that, but I call a lot of mine when they're already on their way down.
We can fix them. That's the thing. You can fix it coming in late.
Yep.
I've called plenty of infield flies on their way down.
Yep.
Connor, this was you?
No.
Oh, I was just wondering how upset the offensive coach was, because I mean, you're still protecting his players from a double play. I mean, the way it turned out, but I mean,
Yeah, I think he was the coach that it impacted the most or the worst is a very much a okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
He didn't fight.
Move
His
on.
assistant fought a lot harder than his head coach did, I'm sure.
Yeah. I can believe that.
So
I mean, with the result, I mean, it hurt him a little bit, but I mean, most times that would actually help him.
yeah.
I mean, if you called it and you're protecting his players.
Yeah. Now he's got runners on second and third with no outs instead of bases loaded with no outs.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I mean, the guy catches it and turns a triple play. Right.
Or doesn't
So as
boot
a
the
coach,
ball to the dugout.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and it's the wrong call, but there are worse outcomes that could have happened. So,
Any other questions on the infield fly rule? 'Cause that's all I got.
Jake, I'm trying to find the video, and if I find it, I want to show it.
Okay.
Oh, that's the ejection. It's the UNC game where VCU. And I find the ejection, and that's fun, but I don't find the actual play.
Yeah, that's helpful.
No, I think the big takeaway, Jake, is a lot of the guys on this call, are working a two-man system primarily, and either guy can go get that. Because I have had, as a base guy, I've had a plate guy question me why I went and grabbed one time when that's my call. No, it's both your call. It's a two-man crew. We have equal responsibility out there. Let's get the call right.
Absolutely. And I mean, even the first video that we showed with that three-man crew, as soon as it became obvious the base umpire had no idea where the baseball was, somebody else got it. I mean, that is giving what we would call the quote unquote first crack at the call. That's primarily the third base umpire in that situation. That's his primary call, because he has the catch no catch on that. But if he doesn't know where the ball's at, somebody else has to step up and go get the call if they know for certain that it is an infield fly. The rest of the crew as soon as both guys heard me call infield fly, they both jumped on it right away as far as echoing it. And so, it's a really easy infield fly is really easy to mess up if we start thinking about it too much. It's a rule that is there to protect the offense. Connor, how we doing? Any luck?
No, not yet. I keep getting
Okay.
the great video of him getting ejected, or after gets ejected.
Oh,
But it was a really unique play. I was hoping they'd show it. I guess he needs to quit getting ejected. I'm kidding. Yeah. Mm,
oh, because we all want to do paperwork.
yeah. I'm not 100% sure it was the regional game. It was definitely against VCU because I'm pretty sure he ends up getting a suspension. Continued arguing, ejection. I think they ended up winning the game too, which is wild. Yeah.
Did you see the 2 plays where they called interference, base runner interference on an infield fly last
Yeah.
a couple of weeks
Yeah.
ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm a Yankees hater. Yes.
I saw that in the Facebook group. No, that was 100% the right call. Honestly, I can't believe that Major League Baseball went and threw Junior
That's a
Valentine
different
under the
play.
bus.
That was a different play, Jake.
It was?
Junior Valentine plays the White Sox game.
It happened twice
Yeah.
in the last 2
Yeah, it
weeks.
was. Yeah, it was the White Sox. There was a White Sox play, and then there was a Yankees one. The Yankees one was the
Yeah.
same, but what I
No,
saw,
the Yankees one was. The 2 plays were similar but very different. In the White Sox game, there was minimal contact. There was contact. It was minimal. I mean, it was contact, but it didn't prevent him from catching the ball.
Mhm.
He's able to recover and catch the ball fairly routinely, I'll call it. In the
Right.
White Sox or in the Yankees game, the ball dropped and their bases were loaded. And that's the play we got into it. I said we got into it about. It's the play that I got called a Yankees hater for. Are you recording this?
I am.
Okay, stop. I think you can end it there for that purpose.
Fantastic. We'll see you next week.